Let us now look at our first program in much more detail. Typically, when you start writing your code, the first line is always a comment. So a comment is written using two forward slashes. Typically, we write comments so that somebody else who is reading the program can understand what the program is doing. So this is known as a single line comment. So if your comment is only spanning for one line, all you need to do is use two double slashes or two double forward slashes and write whatever you want within that line. Comments are typically not processed by the compiler, so there is no syntax that you need to follow. You can write whatever you want. Sometimes your comment needs to be spanning over multiple lines, which means that you cannot just fit your comment in one line. In that case, you would want to write a multi-line comment. To write a multi-line comment, you first use a forward slash followed by an asterisk, and then write whatever you want in the next few lines. You could write something like author information and date. And then if you want to close the comment, you need to do the reverse, that is, put the asterisk and then a forward slash. This is known as a multi-line comment. The next line in your code typically involves including the header files, and for that you write #include stdio.h. Pound is known as a preprocessor directive, and stdio.h is known as the standard input-output header file. Basically, what the line says is that please include stdio.h header file in my code. And I'm going to tell you why we need that. The next line in our code was int main void. For now, forget about int and void. Just remember that every C program must have a main function. Now we start the main block by putting the opening curly brace, and the first statement under main was printf welcome to C dot \n, close the double quote, close the round brace, and then follow it with a semicolon. Here, semicolon is known as the statement terminator. Printf is the library function that is defined in stdio.h header file. So if you want to use printf, you need to include the stdio.h file in your header declaration area. So to use printf, function, include the header file in the preamble. So preamble is something that comes in before you write the actual main function. So you might be wondering, why should I use the header file? Why can't I just write my own printf functionality? If you look at the source code for printf online, you will see that it comprises of about 150 to 200 lines of code. So instead of writing 150 to 200 lines of code just for printf functionality, what people do is they store the printf functionality in a header file. In this case here it is the stdio.h header file, and then whenever you want to use printf, they just include the header file. This is known as code reusability. So printf function, what it does is, whatever is there within the double quotes, it gets printed onto the console. Now don't worry too much about \n, I'm going to tell you what it does. The next line in your code was return 0. So return is a keyword. When the compiler hits return, it knows that the main function is ending. And one final thing is, you can write comments anywhere in the code. For example, here I wrote my first two comments at the beginning of the code. Now I can write a comment for every line in the code as well. For example, I can write a comment here saying what return does, which is ends my program. So forget about the 0 after return. You can typically put any number there, but that is not the priority for today. And then finally, you close the curly brace. So this is the opening curly brace for main, and this is the closing curly brace for main, and this is known as the main block. So all the functions or all the functionality that main does is given in this block.